This is DC Squares, 60/50 Productions. What are we calling ourselves? Over the Top.
There's something different.
I'm John.
I'm Greg.
And we're here. And this is our second podcast. Number 2 is better than number 1. Wait, speaking of the number 2 book, we are 2 regular guys.
That's right.
And
number 2.
Jimmy Fallon is one of the people that we sent our book to. We have a book called DC Squares, and Jimmy is pictured on the toilet saying this is the number 2 book.
That's right.
Of 2016.
We have aspirations of being number 1, but we don't want to.
We have a book here.
Feed off at us. So.
Do you have our book in the studio?
Yes.
We've sent the book. The book is a political book.
But it's written straight down. It's not slanted right or left.
So we wanted people to know about it, so we sent it off to major news like The Talk. So we drew cartoons of each one of the recipients.
Yes.
Jimmy, do you have our book, just so we can flash it up here? Our DC stuff, yeah, the book. It's not the Bible, but you know, it's a good book for voters.
It's a good book.
It's called How Voters Can Win the Presidential Election.
It's educational, and it helps people realize there is a fix to this debacle we call the presidential debates. But John, I think the coolest thing about it is it's something everybody can read within an hour. It's
Absolutely.
Only 64 pages.
That's great. It's an easy read, and it's got a lot of different cartoons like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Sergeant Schultz in there, Gordon Gekko. Read is good.
And what I like about the book, and readers will soon find out, this is the only book I know of that says right out why first-term elected officials can't do their job.
Yes.
Can we give them a hint of
Just
what
a
that
hint.
means?
It's called dialing for dollars, and you can look that up. Google
What is dialing for dollars, Greg?
In a nutshell, they're required to spend a very large percentage of their first months and years in office actually making calls to get large donors and potential donors to give money to the RNC has theirs and the DNC has theirs.
So let me get this straight. If you're saying dialing for dollars means candidates that get elected to their first term to a U.S. Congress would have to spend a big bulk of their time, 25% roughly,
Yes.
of their time in call centers or helping organize efforts to raise money to pay back the party that helped them get elected.
That is correct.
If they don't, then what happens?
Then they basically are told there may not be much funding available the next cycle from the RNC and the DNC.
So it's kind of like pulling the plug on the funding?
As well as pulling the plug on well-intentioned, newly elected people.
So people that get elected for the first time have their goals and their intentions that they get elected for. They
Yes.
make promises, they want to deliver on those promises, and yet they're hamstrung by fundraising efforts that they didn't know about.
Hobbled, held back, tied down.
Bamboozled. Andrea and I were in the car today, we're trying to figure out the word because we were in a situation where we were trying to get out of the restaurant and there's only one way. And that's not the way we wanted to go because there's a median with a big barrier. So we were bamboozled, hamstrung. What were we? Hogtied? Hogtied? So we're not going to lie. We live in Missouri.
We do.
We live in Missouri. And I know that probably comes across so funny to New York and LA.
They're probably wondering about our
We're probably not the smartest and the brightest, but we do know this. There's a lot of stuff out there that voters need to know about.
That's right. DC Squares. We're getting a lot of response. A lot of books been purchased.
We've had some book signings. We've got some more coming up. Outside the Ozarks, we want to reach out to New York and LA to the major talk shows. That's what we were mentioning. The Today Show. There's cartoons in progress for all these major talk shows. Here's one for Good Morning America. So just giving you a little glimpse of the original artwork, and the content is basically researched by Greg.
Yep. And the cool thing about it is if you like any of those shows, give them a tweet, give them a shout out, and let them say, hey, what's all this we're hearing about DC Squares?
We get a lot of people calling in and they're asking me, what are the shows? Well, I'm going to name drop, okay? Because when we name drop on YouTube, that means everybody's starting to pay attention. Ellen DeGeneres, Rush Limbaugh, Conan O'Brien, Mark Levin, Jimmy Fallon, Michael Savage, Jimmy Kimmel, Neil Bortz, Bill O'Reilly. This is a hodgepodge of liberal, conservative, everybody. TV, radio. We got Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, The Today Show, Good Morning America, Craig Ferguson, Oprah Winfrey, Laura Ingraham, Face the Nation, and The View.
All have received the book.
They've all received the book and a letter from the over-the-top publications. The one exception, and I'm going to evoke his name too, I love the word, is Kyle Kulinski, care of Secular Talk Radio. Kyle, if you're out there, you're doing a podcast, buddy, you have like a cajillion followers. We're jealous. We want you on our list. We've got you on our list, but we have no address for you. Does anybody know Kyle Kulinski, Secular Talk Radio's mailing address, P.O. Box number? Hello, Kyle. Earth to Kyle.
That's right.
How do we get a hold of this guy? We want him to see it too. He talks politics all the time. So check out Secular Talk Radio and bug the heck out of him. Ask him what his address is.
Let him know. Surely he'll give it to us because he doesn't want to miss his chance, John.
Fan mail is fan mail, even if it's from a couple regular guys.
Yeah, that's right. That's our moniker, 2 regular guys, because even though there's a lot of people out there who just want to know what's going on with the elections, again, you can find it in DC squares, because even though we put humor in there and somewhat satirical, it gives you all the facts you need, the websites, and also tells some funny anecdotes about what happened when we tried to get information on bills and things of that sort, and we covered that in the first podcast, John.
This does sound a lot like we're just promoting a book. Well, we are. But the book is important because...
It's all about me, John.
It is all about you. It's all about Greg. Actually, the reason we're promoting this book so heavily is because it's how voters can win. Not just how candidates can win, but how voters can win.
And stay humble like me. That's the key.
Humble voters is what we need.
Humble voters.
But
it's for regular gals too, not just regular guys.
Regular guys, two regular gals.
Regular gals, 2 regular guys.
Now it says win, win, win. What that means is voters win. Voters can see and hear what candidates truly want to say without negative bias, so you can decide how to vote intelligently.
That's right.
Candidates win. What does that mean? A game show format for debates. Can you explain a game show format for debates?
It makes more sense.
But some would say, isn't that already trivial enough without turning into a game show? Explain why. I would say no, because if you're in a game show format, people are used to that, and they see that as a presidential debate, you're up in the candidates are in the spot where they have to answer on a timer. Then I think with established timetables for answers would allow the candidates able to identify what they want to share without being waylaid. They're not going to get sucker punched.
Yep. When they read the book, they'll be able to figure out that this not only makes sense, but it would be a much more informational. Can I say that? Informational, and it'll also be much more educational to help people understand how to get the proper information off the websites and not just. You can go to your conservative websites, you can go to your liberal websites, or just go to the actual websites of the candidates. But even then, you're going to run into issues, which we talked about last time in a nutshell. You can find out how they voted if you know the number, but the HR number or whatever, House number, Congress number. But we talked about that in the first podcast. But we won't want to tell them about the whole book, so we'll probably just let them slide on that.
Well, I did want to highlight that we do in the book want voters to win, candidates to win, and the media to win. The candidates win by just having a format that they don't have to get sidelined by somebody's cheap shot. Yep. The media will win when they get more ratings and money because the public will be enthralled with the watchable, enjoyable new format.
Right.
A game show format makes them produce something fun, something voters want to see.
But still getting educational information out there and holding candidates responsible from event to event, and then that also gives them, while it's going on, we can have something going on. We talk about a blog, so we probably want to move off of that for now. We will bore them with all that stuff. But
hey, the details are coming, but it's going to be fun. Wait a minute. We've got a guest. Oh yeah, always getting interruptions. There's people always pounding on our door. I'm just literally bogged down. We can't get it through a podcast without interruptions.
you can't.
Last week, I mean, they were lining up. There's people. Were they bringing pizza or something? Because I didn't get anything.
I didn't either. I think Andre.
No, yes we are. You make me wanna pout. How are we going to do this?
Thanks for the start. We're going to tell the story first.
Yes, okay.
About why
I thought we just
stamp their feet and get mad. We weren't recording now, right?
Yeah, we are now.
Right here.
Let's hit it.
So basically, what we're talking about is people get irritated and they pout and they get stamp their feet.
Well, because their candidate, my man, didn't win.
And they say they're not going to vote over that.
Bernie people, Cruz people, whoever you are, come on.
I mean, you know, you
sorry,
just can't win
it didn't always happen your way.
You know, you just can't pout.
It makes me want to pout. 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 Oh no, pout. You know, if you see two regular guys saying that, singing that, you're going to just want to come along and follow us on YouTube. And we have our own channel. It's DC Squares is the name of the channel, kind of the name of the book. We've got the sign.
You got the sign.
This means just in the latest oh, she's happy. We have a new and improved look for our book because we kind of made an adjustment here.
For the book.
Can we look at it big or no? No.
There, I can make
Go
it
big or go home,
set.
man.
Oprah
Give
said
it to
that.
me, I'll
That's right.
make it big.
We have a new and
So
improved, and it's got a little bit of a colorful, you know,
Yeah.
it's an American flag thing.
American flag.
Whatever.
I like that. But anywho, let's maybe talk a little more about what's going on that's weird, different.
Well, Ebola. The reason I bring that up is because that's a mass panic method. Ebola.
So why do you think it's something?
Okay, last year, wasn't it 2015?
Yeah, last year. All
I
year.
was saying this panic of Ebola, everybody was talking about it in the news, how Ebola was wiping everybody out. They're bleeding to death. Well, it is a horrible way to die. But the facts are the influenza kills many more people per year than Ebola.
True.
And the reason they had Ebola was so that the media could generate this mass panic, some people say.
MP.
Just so that they'll freak out and they'll buy stuff. Like Ebola serum. So we don't want another Ebola. And the swine flu is mentioned, the bird flu. All these things were just scare tactics because the reality is influenza kills more people than all these diseases, but we don't talk about it because it's boring.
It's boring.
And Ebola is cool until it's not.
Yeah.
It's a sick way to die, but it's more sensational than the flu.
Yeah.
We gotta go Ebola,
Well,
guys.
it's not newsworthy if he died of
Yeah.
pneumonia.
Ebola.
They usually say he was old. When someone dies of pneumonia or older, he was old.
Yeah, they don't. The influenza thing is so bad. Seriously, it kills thousands of people more than any other.
Thousands.
Yeah. And I've got the stats here, but I'm bored with them. There's 300-some
too
thousand
much.
a year. I don't care. It's just a lot of people.
How
die.
about that gorilla at the Cincinnati Zoo and those protesters?
They went ape over that story.
did.
The stupid people. This guy, there's this kid in the gorilla cage. Big gorilla saying, "Oh, give me baby." Wasn't the gorilla holding the baby?
First, and then he kind of yanked him by the arm real fast, ran through the water like
I've seen parents do that.
exactly a whitewater. But any water park in America. But the sad part about that is,
One thing.
who are these people that are
Tell
protesting
me.
about them shooting the gorilla? Now, they probably should have tried to sedate the gorilla, but they were
We
concerned
can't
the
read
gorilla
that.
might have become grumpy
It's too red.
while the serum was taking effect. There's that word serum again.
We don't want
Serum's
limited
never
edition.
a good thing. Serum's never.
Serum is overrated.
But anyway, the gorilla, the people
It's
are
kryptonite.
protesting about the gorilla being killed.
I know.
And I'm like, dude, if that's my kid,
I would
I'm
kill
like,
the
give me
gorilla.
rifle.
Give me the rifle. I'm killing a gorilla. How many of you out there, if your kid was being attacked by a gorilla, and there was a zookeeper on Laura Ingram.
No, don't hurt him.
They're like, a zookeeper calls in and says, gorillas are a shoot-to-kill animal with polar bears. Those two we do not trust in the zoo business. So hey, zookeepers know.
Yeah.
Take
I
aim.
say hats off to the Cincinnati Zoo.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, it's sad they had to kill that.
But you have to do it if somebody's life is in
Exactly.
jeopardy. You
Exactly.
can't just let the. What if the kid had died?
Well,
Then-
there would have been some serious repercussions. And I mean, we need to think.
As it is, there's a gorilla family out there grieving somewhere.
There is.
But
And the
beyond the
savannah.
gorilla,
Yeah.
was the gorilla an older?
Beyond the
Was it a
gorillas.
male gorilla?
I don't honestly recall.
Because I think the feminists would like it to be a male gorilla.
It wasn't a transgender gorilla.
Transgender gorilla. It probably didn't know where to go to the bathroom. It's like,
TG.
which bathroom do I use?
I want to be like this guy. Can you shave me down?
What
and
are
teach me
we
to speak?
What are we doing here?
Wouldn't that be something? They
Oh
shave me
man,
down?
you know what? We're two regular guys from Missouri, but we have a book that has gone all over the country.
At least.
And I'm saying, we're talking gorillas,
One in Israel.
when the news can only stoop so low, people screaming about a dead gorilla. My kid is being mangled, but you shot the gorilla. You should have shot him with a dart. Do we have gorilla darts?
Oh.
It's called PCP.
PC, yeah, we got one.
Angel dust. I'm having fun. You know what was
So
cool?
what else was in the news was odd or interesting? Oh, how about Mitt Romney getting behind an independent to try to derail the Trump train?
No way. Seriously?
Well, it's kind of
I didn't
interesting.
catch that one.
He didn't want to catch it.
Gregory
It's
D's
kinda
got
like
this
Ebola.
one. So it's an Ebola. Okay, the Never Trump movement.
Yes, yes.
Oh no.
And
Here
they're
we
trying
go.
to- I mean, I got to tell you, Mitt disappointing.
Come on, Mitt. Come
I
on.
like Mitt. But apparently, this guy, his name that he's wanting to vote for,
Yeah.
and you know, the guy is he's an Iraq War veteran.
Well, that's
He's a
good.
very noble man.
Right.
You know how we feel about veterans. I love my veterans,
Right.
especially. But you know, I mean, for Mitt Romney to get behind a guy just to try to derail Trump, I mean,
Yeah, why? What's the point of derailing Trump? Do you want Hillary to win? Is this your objective? If you're Mitt Romney, you don't want Hillary. So how does the anything but Trump thing help? How does that help the Republicans or the anti-Hillary or whatever it is that's out
the
there?
book is in the middle.
Republicans are
Doesn't
crazy.
Give a left slant or a right slant. But my answer here is, I love Mitt. I think he's basically a really cool guy. But I tell you, he got knocked down a few notches starting this. I don't like it.
Okay, well, I think
I'm
Trump.
sure that he'll lose sleep over the fact.
Well, I
the
think when
regular
two
guys.
regular guys, one of the two at least, I'm not going to
That's
say.
50%.
That's a lot of hit for Mitt.
It is.
A lot of hit for Mitt. You know what? This is our new book cover that I'm looking at here, the DC Squares.
What do you think of it? Yeah.
Greg, your thoughts? How voters can win the presidential election?
looking at that,
it's a bigger image.
I'm welling up. I'm having tears of joy
Greg,
because it's
It's got red, white, and blue.
and
somebody
you know,
in
the
the-
background there should be like really God Bless America playing. Be hail to the guys.
Could we open? Could we have a little sound thing in our book like they do on those greeting cards? Have you seen those?
Yeah, I like them.
That would be hail to the chief,
That's what it is. Our hail to
And-
the guys, as I said, two regular guys.
and it would be fun.
We need to let people
Maybe a
know
little
that-
gorilla fur on it.
a gorilla fur. Now, what
Guerrilla
about a
warfare.
Guerrilla warfare. That was a
Or Mitt's mitts. Maybe we got some mittens by Mitt.
Shows his mitt pat.
Puts on the mitts and
The
he
independent
punches
candidate.
Trump in the nose.
Hit by Mitt.
Mitts.
Spit
Punching
hit
the
by
Trump,
Mitt.
punch the Trump, punch the Trump. See, this is for a punch the Trump moment. Mitt going, bam! I got my mitts,
You got it.
and they hit. Mitt's a hit
That's right.
with Trump. What do you think? Well, my thought is, does it look that way on the final, when you go to create space?
My thoughts says it looks a lot better. It looks a lot more relaxing, a lot more.
We've got a
calming.
vote here because the voters are winning.
That's right. The voters are winning.
It says how voters can win. We're not going to show you because this is confidential stuff that's
We
in
could tell them,
publication.
but then we have to kill them.
We would have to kill you, or a gorilla. We'd have to kill a gorilla in your honor.
There you go. If
An
we show
effigy.
them, we'll have
can
to
we
kill
can we
the
burn a gorilla in effigy? No, we don't burn gorillas.
You don't burn
We
gorillas.
burn presidential figures, right?
Don't
we
cut off
burn
heads, that's only us.
like George W. Bush. He was burned in effigy over in Iraq. Who else gets burned in effigy?
The two regular guys.
Effigial
By
burn. Hey, if you guys
politicians.
want to make like effigial costumes of two regular guys and burn them and send them in on YouTube clip, here's a little food for thought. Maybe you could use this little number for your inspiration. There's Greg and there's John, and if you don't know which one's which, then you're blind.
Or you can't read because
How about let's whip this over? How about that? Can we do that?
We can do that. Are we?
We got our guest here is Donald Trump, and he says, let's get where we lower him down just a little. DC
America great again.
Yeah, DC Squares book will make. We don't quite see him. He's
DC
cut.
Squares.
Lower him down a little bit. We're cutting his verbiage. There he goes. DC Squares will make America great again. Okay.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Hey, remember the hunch? You got the hunch or the grip?
The hunch or the grip.
Either one, you got something. All right, guys, that
I've
looks
got a hunch the
pretty
grip
good.
might be
Thank you,
something to
Andrea.
look at.
But can we view that on CreateSpace, or do we need to resubmit?
Are we done?
All right,
Submit.
we're good now.
Do we need to sign off?
Are we admitting? All right, guys, it's been good talking to you. What else do you want to say?
I think we're good.
I mean, our fans are going to want the same banter, the same jovial attitude, but the reality is you have a choice as a voter. You don't have to bow down to this system of backstabbing. There's a better way to do elections, and it's spelled out in a book called DC Squares, How Voters Can Win the the election, the
and how
presidential.
can voters get a hold of us to buy that fine book?
Well, there is a YouTube channel, of course, but you've got to realize there's also an Amazon page. So just go to Amazon.com and look up in your search line under books, DC Squares.
As in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and it comes from the old Hollywood Squares. You might
does.
explain that to some people that may not know.
I think that if they can't understand after reading the book, we'll gladly take their calls.
That's right.
How's that sound?
And you know what? Our calls are not set up for calling yet, but it will be when we get big like Kyle Kalinske. Where's your phone? Where is your mailing address, Kyle Kalinske?
Maybe we should call him K squared.
K squared,
DC
KK. Oh, I'm glad he's not triple
more
K.
thing.
All right, go ahead.
And we can re-edit this.
Sure.
We're going to vote. Thanks again for listening to The Tales of DC Squares by the two regular guys. We're going to pump you up.
You up. And what are we going to say, two regular guys, or are we going to say
We can cut all this out. So
on two?
the 1-2 regular guys, we're going to pump you up.
You up.
Let's try it again. How's that?
All right, two regular guys, we're going to pump you up.
Try it again.
I missed.
We'll say, here's what we're going to say. This will be hilarious.
Yeah, it'll be funny.
We're two regular guys, we're going to pump you up. But we need to say something about the election before we say it. I'll just say something about the election, just say, we're two regular guys, and you just say, we're going to pump your knowledge up. Let's talk about how we're going to
Your knowledge up.
We're going to pump their knowledge up regarding the elections, how to make them better, more meaningful, more educational, more informative, and be able to hold the candidates all more accountable, John, and also the media wins, and therefore if the candidates win, the media wins, and
Yes.
the voters win, guess what? We're all good. So
And
we're going to pump people up, John.
Yes,
And
we are.
We talked about helping people get stoked again about the elections because
That's
there's
right.
so much nonsense, naivete, and just
Gobbledygook.
baby stuff. It's all goofy. So people want to be infused, if you will, or pumped up with
That's right.
a little more fact, information, educational materials on the election so they can all win. So that's one of our mantras, is to keep people pumped. So two regular guys getting ready to sign off from this podcast. Anything else before we leave, John?
I think this is the only book that every major talk show, TV or radio in America is receiving and talking about as fact, from Jimmy Kimmel to Ellen DeGeneres to Rush Limbaugh to the candidates themselves, which are
View?
the Trump man and the Hillary woman.
That's right.
They have them. So
And you know what's really cool about that is they've all received also one of John is a great illustrator. He's a caricature of each one of these folks, and they're going to look at that as a lot of fun. So we want you to call those shows and say, hey, we've heard a lot about DC Squares, and we want you guys to do a special on or a show.
we're looking
Interviews,
for
we're
this guy,
available.
Kyle Kalinske.
That's right.
He's
So
AWOL, but
all
other
you
than
guys
that,
want to do is just be able to be infused with this knowledge that's been in
you need to be an
this book.
informed voter. You need
That's
to
right.
get the book on Amazon.
The most
DC
informed
Squares.
voters are the most valuable voters for our country. So our job is to pump you up. So this is John and Greg signing off on two regular guys saying, we're going to pump you up. That was much better.
Awesome.
Well, it took a while to get that.